This is a crazy number. Over 50% of liberal white women under 30 have a mental health issue.
Ruslan.
The shocking correlation between masculinity and testosterone.
That prove if you ingest liberal men with testosterone and poll them afterwards, they shift right wing on their views. And this is kind of like what everyone in the audience knows is true. You've never seen like, a real lumberjack looking guy who then is going to be like, yeah, I think income should be redistributed. Like, it's really a biological phenomenon that we're seeing. And so, yeah, men are becoming more feminine, and as we would expect, they're becoming less willing to take positions of leadership.
There is evidence to suggest that men's testosterone levels have decreased.
Yeah.
Like generationally.
Because the microplastics.
That is true. Testosterone levels have decreased. He's making the argument that when liberal dudes get on TRT, I'm assuming later on in life, that they become more conservative.
But then that also begs the question, did they get on TRT later in life? And now are they having more conservative views because they're later in life? It goes back to the old adage, which is if you're conservative under the age of 30, then you have no heart. And then if you're liberal over the age of 30, then you have no brain.
That's a good question. I don't know. We should see if we can find a different source on this. What I would say is usually folks who get on TRT aren't 35 or 40. Usually folks who are on TRT are 50. Yeah, 55. You're pretty settled in your political identity at the end.
To combat evil. Great book that explores this. I think it's called Your Brain on Birth Control or something like that. And it talks about how, like, literally women who take birth control become attracted to more feminine men. And then when, so say, they're taking birth control, they become in a relationship or involved with a guy. When they stop taking it, they literally become less attracted to those pheromones.
This is actually a point I brought up in my debate with Rollo. He has a section in his book about women want alpha lays, beta pays. Women want to smash the pool boy and build a relationship with the beta. The issue with that is women who get on birth control, their physiology changes. And so based on Rollo's logic, the men that should be getting the most amount of place isn't the alphas, because if the birth control wires them to desire the betas, to desire the softer men. The whole alpha beta thing is
crazy.
And so that's why that entire premise makes no sense. Like you are creating this depravity of women based on a study, like less than 24 women who did a t-shirt smell of alpha versus beta men.
I forgot about
and the entire thing is nonsense. It hasn't been peer reviewed. It's not a good study. It's a small sample group, but based on just the sheer factors of what happens in a woman when she's on birth control makes her desire weaker, softer men, right? According to that science, the idea that women then would desire more masculine men after they get off of birth, right? So I'm saying that disproves the red pill nonsense, right? That women want masculine men. No, they're going to desire more feminine men because they're on birth control, and that does a number on their biology. But them switching up later is interesting. That them switching up later is an interesting presupposition.
And will then, revert back to what normal women 60 years ago would have been attracted to in terms of male features. But you're totally right. Men don't look like men anymore. Women don't look like women anymore. You can go even into fraternity houses and see the class of whatever year, and they look like men. And now everyone looks very feminine. Maybe even I've been affected by this.
TRT is testosterone replacement therapy. As you get older, most men's testosterone naturally dips, and so men probably 45, 50 start injecting themselves with small levels of testosterone to try to get the testosterone back to where it was when they were teens, early 20s. That can be abused. You can get a doctor to put you on testosterone replacement therapy before you actually need it, which is not good. And there are some people that legitimately have an issue with developing testosterone, right? People are going to say it's bro science. Clearly, you got other sources on this.
More testosterone guarantee that you'll vote for the GOP. A study from Claremont Graduate University, or KJU, found that increased levels of the main male sex hormone can cause Democrats to become more conservative in their political affiliation. During the 2012 election cycle, researchers analyzed 136 voting age men. Lucky researchers, am I right, Tyrus?
No,
right.
not right.
They found a red shift among guys who were given testosterone boosters.
How many did it say?
136.
136, okay.
A little light.
Yeah, that's a small sample size.
To those who took placebos or placebos. No wonder Barry Bonds wanted to join CPAC. Anyway, quote, when weakly affiliated Democrats received additional testosterone, the strength of their party fell by 12%, and they reported 45% warmer feelings towards Republican candidates for president. Before the
That's funny. Now, granted, it's a smaller sample size.
Yeah.
It's better than Rollo's data about alpha lays, beta pays nonsense.
Oh, yeah.
testosterone treatment, we found that weakly affiliated Democrats had 19% higher basal testosterone than those who identified strongly with the party. I don't know what I just said, but it sounds important. The scientists conclude, wow, these liberal men are a bunch of It's true. It's in the research. I didn't say that. So no wonder
Is this the
Elon's
conservative Bill
last
Maher?
name is Musk.
Caitlyn Jenner debunked this. Caitlyn Jenner ingested herself with estrogen. You're saying because she's still conservative?
Let's not forget the fact that, yeah.
Right? Is that his argument?
That Caitlyn Jenner transed and then still is highly conservative. So I think
I don't know how much TRT she took.
I think his argument was
estrogen.
that he was a very testosterone-filled dude that then became trans, but still a conservative.
That's a fact. So, this is an interesting tie into this chart that I saw floating around. This is crazy. We've talked about, this is a crazy number. This is a crazy number. I feel for some of you guys in the dating scene. Over 50% of liberal white women under 30 have a mental health issue. A 22 Pew Research study reveals that over half of white liberal women have been diagnosed with a mental health condition at some point. Does this mean there's a correlation between progressive ideas and mental health?
100%.
Can you see if you could find that study?
Yeah.
That's a crazy number. That's a crazy number. 50%? What's awful about that is that women tend to be more liberal. 56% of white liberal women aged 18 to 29 have been diagnosed with a mental health condition. Has a doctor or healthcare provider ever told you that you have a mental health condition? Okay, so this isn't you self-identify. Has anyone ever told you? Look at the numbers of conservatives. 20%.
But I wonder if you're liberal, you're more likely to go seek mental health counseling as well.
This is true.
So, whereas a conservative might just be like, I'm good. But that still goes back to the original diagnosis, is like a liberal feels like they need a mental health professional to diagnose them with an issue.
Well, bringing it full circle, if you're more conservative and you feel down, what are you more than likely going to do? Are you going to go seek mental health treatment, or are you going to be like, let me wake up a little earlier, drink more water, go to the gym?
Exactly my point. Is that like they're both probably doing something for their mental health, but one just thinks they need somebody else to cater for them. And I'm not saying therapy is bad or things are crazy. I'm just saying
those are crazy numbers, though, bro. Those are look at the difference there.
It's not nothing.
Google what percentage of women are liberal. That's what I want to know.
Probably a higher.
I mean, the chat is going crazy. They're saying in Canada, it's like 75% of women have a mental health condition.
From 1999 to 2013, about 3 in 10 women aged 18 to 29 consistently identified as liberal, after which the figure rose a bit unsteadily to 44%. By 2020, the percentage liberal receded slightly to 41% in 2022 and 40% in 2023. So it went down in that age group. It's definitely more women than men.
Yeah.
I mean, but I think it's also, that's just indicative of female nature.
Yeah, by age groups, I think it's even worse. Like, I think 100%. Gen Z and Gen Alpha, it's like way worse. Yes. In terms of the disparities amongst young liberals and women and young liberal conservatives. More conservatives tend to talk about God and are comfortable with their spiritual life with prayer and church, and that's why their numbers are so low. Give it to Jesus. And your mental health will leave. I don't think conservatives believe your mental health will leave. Just think your mental health isn't have to define you. Yeah. Like, if you're feeling depressed, that doesn't mean you need to go to a therapist every time. Sometimes my wife feels depressed when it's raining.
Yeah.
Like, she's not going to go see a psychiatrist for that. Because then when it's sunny, it's not, right?
We just need to get the little sun lamp you put on your desk. I got you, Chris.
Therapists or drug dealers, they'll diagnose you with anything.
Well, I think psychiatrists are technically the drug dealers.
Yo, is Ruslan respecting pronouns now? Just wondering. It wasn't intentional, jerk.
I know. That man just been looking like a woman for so long at this point.
Yeah, I think we're all just conditioned. The pronouns thing, if you want to know my thoughts on pronouns, you can go watch my conversation with Preston Sprinkles. We talked about pronouns in depth.
It does get harder too when they change their name to like a female name.
Sure.
Like Dylan is easy to call he because like Dylan Mulvaney, it sounds like a dude.
Right.
But when you've been hearing Caitlyn for so long, it's like your brain just goes like she.
Yeah.
So by that sense, we're actually more gender conforming because we stick with the stereotypes. If you have a woman name, you're a woman.
One of my favorite passages is in Ephesians chapter 6, where the Apostle Paul writes that we do not wrestle against flesh and blood, but against the principalities of this unseen world. That could spook a lot of people out because there is a spiritual world and there's a spiritual war. But what I love about that passage is he tells us to therefore put on the armor of God. Helmet of salvation, the gospel of peace. That is the inspiration for our latest collection, the Armor of God collection, with a custom cut and sew Armor of God jacket representing all the different patches that reflect the armor of God. Available for a limited time only, so go to blessgod.shop to get yours now.